Hi, and welcome to a small, medium, at large podcast. I'm your host, Gail Hyson, bringing you intimate interviews beyond normal boundaries. I want to thank all of you listeners for subscribing to our YouTube channel, for listening to us on Apple, Google, Spotify, and all other social media sites. I want to thank everyone for being with us on our fifth year as we continue with two shows a month, and we bring special guests to you from all over the world. Today, we want to speak to our new and special guest, Ron Gang. Let me tell you a little bit about him. Ron Gang was born in 1950 in Toronto, Canada. At 15, he received his ham radio license and attended Central Tech High School and then on to the University of Toronto, where he studied philosophy, Near Eastern studies, and transcendental meditation. In 1972, he followed a dream and moved to Kibbutz Urim in Israel, where he worked in agriculture, became an electrician, then married and raised a family. He attended 3 years at Tel Aviv School of Art. In 2010, he joined the Israel Blues Society and formed the Blues Gang Band. Ron's early years in the kibbutz doing agricultural farming inspired his paintings of the love of the land he had worked on. Ron says, a painting can reach people on a level beyond which words cannot communicate. Sometimes I feel like I'm an instrument through which the landscape paints itself, he said. 20 years ago, he painted in a bomb shelter, and he went out in the fields and painted landscapes that surround him. Since 1985, he has exhibited in numerous group and solo exhibitions in Israel, Canada, Mexico, the USA, and his paintings are in collections in Russia and Europe as well. Let's welcome Ron Gang here today. Hi, Ron.
Hey, hey, Gail, and hi, everybody. This is a real thrill, and thank you so much for inviting me to, uh, pardon the expression, expose myself, as it were.
Well, this is a good, safe, and happy place to do this in. So
Yes.
let me ask you before we're going to have a slideshow presentation of your work, but before we get to that, I'd like to just ask a few questions I always ask my guests when they're on the show for the first time, which is where you grew up and if the family you had, did they have an interest in Judaism, Israel, painting, or were those the things that happened to you later in life?
Okay. Well, indeed, I grew up in Toronto, and let me see. Israel was important to my parents, and especially my mother and my grandparents. My grandparents had come from Eastern Europe and had experienced a lot of discrimination, and so Israel was an important thing for people to be able to lead a normal life. So, without getting into all of that kind of stuff, but Israel was always up on a pedestal someplace. We were nominally Jewish, but we were not religious. My parents celebrated the holidays, but we didn't go to synagogue or any of that stuff. Later on, when I started after learning meditation, then I started to develop an interest. So I wanted to check it out. So
Mhm.
I had a flirt with the religion for a short while, and then I felt I couldn't take the whole story. I'm being a bit of an ornery type of guy. I have to decide for myself. I can't let somebody tell me what I should do or what. So that's the story on that. And but I had come to after high school. I came to Israel for a year, and I really loved the kibbutz. This is and it's nothing to do with anything outside of just living together in a communal way. There were communes also in the States back in the day, but with everybody being totally equal. These were the good old days before capitalism started to sneak in. And by the way, I can say that Bernie Sanders had also spent time on a kibbutz, and that's what turned him into a socialist, just by the way. But a little side note.
Good side note. And so when you decided to go leave to Israel the first time, was that on one of those birthright programs or the things where in
No,
high school you go to get to a trip to Israel and you get to see what life is like there?
I
Or
was in an organization called Habonim, and
hmm.
we had summer camps, and we had weekly meetings in the city, and we were steeped in Israeli culture and talked about the kibbutz and social issues, and also, there was this was the '60s as well, so a lot of Tom Paxton, Phil Oakes, all kinds of stuff. So Pete Seeger. This was part of we would get together and we'd have this whole sing all these songs. So it was
Yes.
quite a mix of Israeli and North American protest songs as well.
My husband used to go to camp and Pete Seeger would come and sing at his camp. Camp Unity, I think it was called, or I'm not sure which his camp was, but he went to a red baby diaper camp or something. It's a little small little world. So then I guess your parents were proud of you and your grandparents that you were going to leave to live in Israel.
Well, I think my father thought this was kind of stupid, but
Oh,
actually, I don't know. I mean, he never. But my father, they didn't. But my mother had grown up in in an environment where Israel was more central, and but anyways, coming, this was really, I really saw this was the way to live, where people could live together without money, without somebody being, certainly a very high level of equality and full democracy. Unfortunately, things in most kibbutzim have sort of, uh, I can't say, well, they gone down a hill. It's, the young people who grow up, they wanted to have more money. They were interested in material things more. And maybe we didn't do it well enough to have them keep all these values with them. But I'm glad I lived it, and it was a great experience. And maybe one day the whole world will live together like that, like in John Lennon's song, Imagine.
very beautiful thought. That was one of my questions was because my family, when I was seven, we lived in a true commune in the 60s, in 1962. And it was one where everyone had a different job and everyone worked as a community. But it was one of the more organized ones of the communes I'd seen in those days, but none of them lasted. Some of them lasted a year or a few years, but very few lasted anything more than that. And there were always a lot of conflicts. So I'm wondering when you first joined the commune, I mean the kibbutz, how was the lifestyle then? And how it sounds very utopian and very ideal, but it doesn't sound, even though that you're there this many more years, you've been there more than 30 years, you must have seen a lot of changes in the kibbutz living from when you first started to now.
Yes. Uh, well, indeed, the kibbutz, this kibbutz started in 1946, and
Wow.
but some of the earliest kibbutzim started like right after or maybe even before the First World War. It's a whole story to get into, uh,
Hmm.
uh, and a few have still remained total equality. But I know that it was hard to get people to fill more responsible positions because it's it's a hassle to be in charge of things and have all that extra responsibility. When there was somebody was when there was a vote coming up for somebody to be the head of the kibbutz, his election speech would be why you shouldn't vote for me.
So you've been in the same kibbutz all these years. You didn't go to a different kibbutz. You stayed and you were when you've gone through your youth and into your retiring years living in a kibbutz. How does that like your role in the community, how does that change? I mean, if you were tilling soil and working in the fields in your 30s and now you're in your 70s, are you expected to do that same work or are
No,
you
I'm
given
retired.
different
So,
so
so
how
I
does that
do
work?
Well, when, when I reached retirement age, I could decide to become retired. And since
Oh,
I was an artist by this time, and I needed time to paint, and once I didn't have to justify myself financially to the kibbutz because I have to worry about selling paintings or doing something else. So then, my time is my time. Some people continue to work in straight jobs because maybe they have nothing else to do, or like some people, some of us we have lots of interests and hobbies, and work seems to be a waste of time, you know.
and you put in many years of work into this community.
Yes, I
So,
guess I did. Yeah.
yeah, so now it's
Um,
time for you to be able to enjoy the fruits of your labor and do what you like doing, which is painting. So I want to ask just a little bit more about the kibbutz, and then I want to move on to the painting experience. Um, do you have the same people with you, like in all these years, or have you had a lot of people coming and going, and you didn't end up in the community with the same group you started? And how large is a community in a kibbutz? And are there like dozens of kibbutzes in Israel, or I don't know anything about the
yeah,
kibbutz.
okay, it's all right. There are a few hundred kibbutzim in Israel.
Oh,
I don't know
wow.
exactly how many, but the kibbutzim were a very vital part of the beginning of the country. Uh, so it once was a higher percentage of the country. Now maybe it's only like 2% or something like that. But once it used to be a
Uh,
lot more. And people from kibbutzim were active in politics and leadership in the country, and so on. Not me. I'm just a Joe Blow, but um, and a lot of in my kibbutz, I think we had the highest percentage of people with PhDs in this kibbutz, which is
hmm
interesting because one of the nice things about the kibbutz was that it gave you the opportunity to go and study on the kibbutz expense. So we had people who went and studied filmmaking, and most people studied stuff which was important for the kibbutz, like agriculture, business management, stuff like that. But we had also, somebody with a PhD in history and stuff like that. And I my turn came for studies, I asked the kibbutz if I could study art. So I was very fortunate. I had been going to evening classes for a few years, once a week, and I received full studies at the Tel Aviv School of Art. And with all the living expenses and stuff taken, it was beautiful. You don't have this anymore. The kibbutz
Oh,
became too conscious of what the monetary value of everything. So in the good old days, when everything was free and open, and like also food, you go to a dining room, the communal dining room, and you just take whatever you want. But there was a lot of waste of food. So in the end, people had to start, you know, pay for their food. Otherwise, a lot of that stuff got thrown out. So that's also an interesting uh, view of human behavior, as it were.
and have the family that you raised, you and your wife, did they remain in the kibbutz or did they move
Well,
out to the cities?
it's a very small little family. It's just we have a son and his
Uh-huh.
fiance, and they joined the kibbutz, so they're living here, which is very nice. As we're in our older years, to have somebody
Yes, a
there.
family, yes. And maybe grandchildren in the future.
Inshallah.
Yes. So, okay, so I just wanted a little bit about that experience of what kibbutz life was like and that it has changed, but you are still very happy there and life is good. So, I'd like to move into the art and your painting. And before you start your slideshow, if you could just tell our listeners, was there anything that happened to you out of the ordinary? Like sometimes people have a dream and they see a painting in their dream, they start to paint and they know this is their path. Was there any cosmic or paranormal or any sort of things that might have propelled you into wanting to be an artist, or is it just something you started and you said, yes, I'm going to continue with this?
That's interesting. Well, I can. One thing we just briefly skirted over was getting into ham radio. And when I was
Yes.
a kid, when we were kids, you probably did the same thing. Take two tin cans and a string between them, and you could talk one to the other. I had a dream once that I was standing on a high mountain or something with a tin can with a string dangling out of it and talking to people far away. It was like radio. So outside of that, um, you know, some people are more aware of what's happening in their subconscious or in their uh, over self, whatever it is.
Or
And
inner world, yeah.
like everybody else, I've had a few little experiences like what do you call it, precognitive dreams, and but nothing really fantastic. Like some of your guests just blow me away. I said, "Wow, can I have a little bit more of that?" But
So if you're ready, then uh, uh, why don't we begin your talk on the explanations of the different amazing oil paintings that you're going to share with our listeners now. Those of you on YouTube will be able to see these.
okay, we'll have to do share, right?
Yes, I already shared. I already,
Oh, so if I just click
you can just
the
start. It should work.
okay, do you see this painting?
Yeah, there you go. Okay. Now I'm just want to write down the time. So, whoops, my ear thing just fell out. Oops. We're having a few calamities here today.
Okay, now you
Okay. All right. So what I'm gonna do, let me just uh okay, can you hear me? Oh, here they are. Can you hear me now?
all the time.
Okay, so I'm gonna just take these earbuds out because if they keep falling out, that's not good when I'm talking to you.
Okay,
Okay, I'll put that in here and we'll see what happens. I can always put
Murphy's Law. Murphy's Law.
okay, it's 11:43 when we're gonna start again. So I've got that marked down so we know where to cut it out. Okay, so now I'm gonna just say, okay, Ron, this I'm handing the screen over to you. Okay?
Okay,
Okay,
so
Ron, I'm handing the screen
okay,
over to you, so please start your beautiful art show
okay,
slideshow.
I started, didn't I?
Yep,
You
we've got
see?
the first one.
Okay, so this is one of my earlier oil paintings, and this was inspired by hearing late at night as the television was signing off. They used to give little passages from the Bible. So this was about Jacob's ladder, and I sort of saw this in my mind's eye of this ladder going up into the heavens with this rainbow of lights coming down and somebody sitting in a lotus position in a meditative pose. So that was the inspiration for this painting. So that was uh, that one. And but I got more into not painting ideas, but painting what was in front of me. The teacher in my evening classes used a book called Drawing on the Right Side of the Brain by Betty Edwards, which is amazing because it teaches you how to look at things, how to really see, not see what you think you're seeing, but see really what's in front of you. So it's a consciousness expansion type of thing. And
Mhm.
using that, you can draw very realistically whatever's right in front of you. You can just put it down. Uh, so here's one of my earlier outdoor paintings. This is the edge of a field in the kibbutz. And this was also when I was accepted to the Jerusalem Artists Associations. This was displayed in an exhibition in the Artists House in Jerusalem. We'll roll right along. This is a painting also done outside in the field on a very hot, muggy day. That's a wheat field in front and an ancient mound of the old biblical city of Sheruchen, far away. Okay.
Are kibbutzes all located in country, rural areas like this, or are they also in cities?
Um, for the most part, they are in rural areas. However, in some places the cities have grown and grown around the kibbutzim. So
Uh-huh. They started out rural and then the city spread out.
right where we are, we're in the desert here, so the
Yes,
semi-desert.
it's
So
beautiful.
so uh, now this is an acacia tree which was growing out in the fields, and this acacia tree was very instrumental in my painting. I went out there and I painted it a number of times, and when people started getting interested in purchasing my work, these started to sell, and I needed to justify myself to the kibbutz by bringing some money into the kibbutz. So I started painting more of these. I think I painted, I don't know, maybe 60 to 80 to 100 of these acacia trees. I don't remember how many already.
Wow.
So, but every time it was different every time, different angle, different lighting, different season. This is another one. And sometimes the treatment is more literal, sometimes it's more semi-abstract.
Hmm.
Okay, we'll go
Beautiful.
to the next. And actually, this is the one which is the painting. I put it right behind me to hide the the messy room I'm in. So no pretensions here. Everything is what you see is what you get.
What are the color blossoms on this acacia? Because like we have acacia here, but it all blossoms yellow. Are these yellow blossoms as well, or is it
Uh,
red?
well, there are various varieties of acacia. This is a desert variety, and I'm not sure what its blossoms are like because it's a tree which grows in arid regions.
Mm,
And this tree, you can find it in Africa, these pictures of the savannah in Africa. And here
yes.
in Israel, and in southern Israel, this is about as far north as these trees could be found. And actually, the Bedouins view this as a holy tree. In fact, in the Bible, the Ark of the Covenant was constructed from acacia wood.
Oh,
And I remember a Bedouin telling me, he says, if you make a vow to somebody under the acacia tree, that vow has to stick. You can't break it. Opa, I went too fast. That's
no,
another view of that.
this is beautiful that you've done so many different seasons with the tree and as it's aging.
Yeah, I don't know how old the tree was because it was here, I think, probably before the kibbutz was formed, and some of them are quite old. But
Hmm.
uh, let's see. Okay, here's another acacia tree of this variety, which is a little farther afield, and I did this with the sides of the ravine there, so you can also see how dry and arid the region is.
Yes. So how are you getting water where you are?
Okay, so water uh, would be
Beautiful.
piped down from the Sea of Galilee. They built in the early 50s the national water carrier. Before there was a pipeline that brought from Tel Aviv area, and then they made a really big pipeline which came all the way down here from the Sea of Galilee.
Hmm.
And now today, most of the water we get is desalinated sea water.
Oh, wow.
So, and there is a certain amount of rain. The
Hmm.
annual rainfall is about 8 inches a year. I think it's like Southern California,
Hmm.
San
And
Diego region, maybe, further inland. You go further north in Israel and it gets much more rainier, but here in the south, it's kind of deserty.
and do you have cold winters or are you have a warmer climate or what's your climate like?
Okay, I think it's also quite similar to California in
Oh,
the we're the same latitude.
Oh, I love this one.
So in the summertime, like now, it's getting up to well, these last few days, it's been up to about 32, 33 degrees Celsius, which I think makes it close to 90. I don't know. I don't have a conversion of temperatures to Fahrenheit.
Hmm.
But in the wintertime, it doesn't get so hot. It gets to maybe about 18 degrees in the daytime. 18 degrees is like, I think, about 60 Fahrenheit is the temperature, the high. And at night it'll go down to about 40 degrees Fahrenheit in
Oh,
the.
yes. I have to say, this tree makes me feel like I'm seeing the energetic, uh, like the energy field that comes off of a tree. It just looks so electric. It looks just so electrified from all the colors. Uh, anyway, that's a beautiful picture. Beautiful
Thanks.
painting.
I was very influenced by Van Gogh, or as they say in English, Van Gogh, the Dutch painter.
Hmm.
Uh, and you can see in his work a lot of energy fields. So I don't know how much of this I was having some clairvoyancy or it was just being under his influence. So what's next? Ah, okay. Here's another one.
So all of these are different sides and angles of the acacia tree, and this is in an area near your home.
Right. It Most of these paintings, the ones which were done on the field, were done like any no longer than 25-minute walk away from the house, from the studio. So I put all kinds of stuff on my back, and I'd go out for the day, and I'd pack also lunch and lots of liquid to drink, and that in itself is quite an experience because the more you're out there looking and absorbing it, you start really merging with the land without even noticing what's happening to you.
Hmm.
And that's why I felt like often the way of painting that I got from this drawing on the right side of the brain was to look at something and let your eyes follow it, and your hand worked in sync with your eyes. So as your eyes are moving, your hand is moving. And that sort of, you don't really look at something at the same, you don't look at what you're painting while you're painting it or drawing it, but you're just letting your hand, your eyes operate your hand simultaneously, uh, more or less. Or you look and see where one exercise was it's called blind drawing. So you don't look at the page, but after a while, you can look down to see where you are. So like something doesn't come out in the wrong place. But that anyway, so that's the idea. Like you really attach yourself much more to what's in front of you than
Hmm.
looking at it, trying to internalize it, keep it in your brain, and then go and put it down. Instead, as you're looking at it, you're translating it to the page or to the canvas. I hope I'm making myself clear.
Yes, you are.
Okay, now this same tree, uh, this is about maybe 7 years ago or so, it started to dry out. We don't know, but a lot of the acacia trees in the area started to dry out. We don't know if there was some kind of a disease or something. Uh, and the tree, as you see, there's no foliage left on it, just the branches. Here is another view of it. This is a wheat field. Well, the wheat had been planted around it after the wheat had been cut, so you see these lines in the ground. But the tree was on its last legs. Finally, it was decided to cut it down. This was my last uh, homage homage to the tree in its already
Mm.
cut state, and it made me think of a children's book called The Giving Tree, if
Yes, I
you
love that book.
and I felt that this tree had given me so much. I
Yes.
felt a real, after painting it maybe close to 100 times, studying it so much, I really felt a close affinity. So it was rather sad when the tree, the soul which is in that tree, ascended and left just the skeleton of it, the shell, the empty shell.
I just 2 days ago we cut down an over 100-year-old magnolia that was healthy as can be, and I've lived here almost 50 years, always beautiful, always blossoms, giant, and some kind of a disease just came this last year to it affected certain magnolias. It didn't seem to affect the little tiny magnolias, but anyone that had really large, large ones, it affected some of the people's trees. And overnight, I mean, it seems like overnight, but it was about a couple of years. It looked exactly like what your painting is now. And I had to think of it as a cycle of life that now the tree is going to give to me because now we're cutting it all up and we're going to burn it in the wood stove and it'll give us heat. So it was sort of like Shel Silverstein's The Giving Tree, where it's still giving even in its passing. Uh, and uh, and what a beautiful thing that you've made, you've made this tree in paintings that will be remembered forever in all these different people's homes.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing. Uh, Someone like me is in awe because I can't draw anything or paint anything. And so to be able to see this beautiful expression of these different sites that are right there, it's just lovely. So here we
Mm,
are now, we're with cactus.
okay. So now here's another. When I studied in the Tel Aviv School of Art, one of the students there uh, was a chap from an Arab village up in the Galilee by the name of Asim Abu Shakra. And Asim uh, started painting Sabra cactus. And
Mhm.
Asim sadly, uh, he came down. Well, he'd graduated, but he stayed on as a teacher. But he came down with, I think it was some kind of cancer, maybe leukemia. I'm not sure what it was. But in his last year, he was painting Sabra cactus, which is also uh, for indigenous people is like the cactus that grows uh, on very difficult conditions, but it can survive in hard conditions. In why it's called the sabra or the prickly pear. Sabra comes from the Arabic word sabr, which is for cactus, and it also means the same word for patience is sabr. And I was outdoor painting the cactus, and there was a Bedouin who was tending his flocks. He came, was watching me from behind, seeing how I was very patiently painting this, and he says, "Sabr, sabr," which is patience, and the sabra prickly pear cactus. So there you go. Anyways, when Asim, he had an exhibition. He had passed on already, and there was an exhibition at Tel Aviv Museum of his work, and I went there, and I felt, oi, I really felt sad, and I
Mm.
wanted to. These paintings are kind of dedicated to him, and in his family, there's some other people have been painting as well, painting these cacti. But anyways, there's a few more of these. Here's another one. I
And
sold
you
five of the.
all of your paintings are oil, is that correct?
Yeah, I sold five of these to some company in Arizona, of all places. There's a saying in England to send coals to Newcastle. So sending cacti to Arizona, where it's you know. Anyways, and this is my shadow.
Hmm.
As spiritual people have to learn how to deal with their shadows.
Yeah, we all have shadows.
Yep, we're not aware of it most of the time. Okay, now this is a wider sweep uh, before going down into the ravine. When you walk out from the kibbutz out in the fields and you come to the land drops down. So from this perch, I did a lot of paintings, and if we do get to the video at the end of this, there will be. Uh, I went out here many times to paint from here because I really love the big sweep of the open sky and the feel of the feel of boundlessness almost. Uh, so I came out and I said, this I need more than one canvas. This canvas here is about 5 feet wide, and
Wow.
but I thought that wasn't enough. So I joined two canvases. Then I came out the next day with another canvas, which I tacked on the other side, and I kept doing leapfrog style. It took me about 2 months of coming out, not every single day, but I started in April and I worked up into July when like now, and the heat became excruciating. And I'd come back at the end of the day with a headache. I wasn't dehydrated. I was drinking enough water, but I think I got a bit of heat stroke doing
Oh.
those. But hey, you have to suffer. So you got to pay your dues if you're going to play the blues.
And so as far as I can see, it's just land and sky. There are no homes or anything in this panoramic view.
Right. If you look to the about, let me see, from the right side going uh,
Oh, is
about
that
a
I
quarter of the
see.
way in, you see there's a few distant trees. So that's on the other side of the riverbed.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some kibbutzim. There's one kibbutz over there, but you can't see it. It's not in the painting, anyways. If you take a binoculars or something, you can see a lot. But
And
what do
does
we
your
got next? Say
does
what?
your does your kibbutz encompass a certain amount of hectares, or I
Yeah,
don't know if that's yes.
our lands are 20,000 dunam, and a dunam is a tenth of hectare. Let me see, 20,000 dunam. Divide that by 4 dunam is an acre, so that means 5,000 acres.
Wow. And that's
Uh, of
that.
course, it's semi-arid land, so you have to
Mm-hmm.
irrigate it. And if you got you ha- have you had more rain, the land would be you wouldn't have as much land. But the first years in the kibbutz, by the way, was very hard physical labor, slugging irrigation pipes and putting them down to irrigate the fields. I remember that was very difficult work.
And is that so? They're not digging. They don't have wells there. They're not digging for wells.
The groundwater is about maybe 100 meters. No, yeah, 130 meters down, 100 feet down. But the groundwater here, there isn't much of it.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so if you dug some wells, if you started pumping it, you'd pump it dry.
Mm-hmm.
So you can grow certain crops on the 8 inches of rain in the wintertime, uh, mainly wheat and and vetch or fodder crop. But the rain is not reliable. Every year is different. So some years, one year we got like uh, 16, 17 inches. Another year we got like 4 inches. So there you go.
Yeah, the weather has been different all around the world, also changing.
Here's a look from that same perch looking out that way. And you can
Mm-hmm.
see how dry everything is. This is like the end
Yes.
of the summer or the beginning of the autumn before the rains came. So, by the way, the acacia trees sink roots very far down. So uh, I'm not sure. I think I read someplace 100 meters down, maybe or not, maybe 30 meters, but whatever they get pretty far down. So that's why they can. You see them in very arid regions further south of here, where the rainfall is only maybe a couple of inches a year, and there are acacias growing there. But of course, in areas which are where there's more water, where it's lower down in the water, the rains drain, the water drains to these lower areas. That's the same area, but after the rains.
Oh,
So you see, when there's a little bit of rain, the plants start coming up.
yeah. Lovely. Oh,
Another
wow.
story about the cactus, by the way. It was like the end of I guess the early fall before the rains had happened, and I wanted to paint, so I brought like I put down the easel and I put some stones on the earth to mark where the legs of this easel would be. When I came back, I could paint in the same place, and I came back maybe a week later, and I set up there, but everything had changed.
Ah,
Then I realized what had happened. There had been some rain, and the cactus had sucked up the rain from the ground. And before it was drooping over, then it just came to life and just, wow, it filled up. So that's an interesting thing. By the way, I was out there. You see a lot of wildlife out there. Uh, in the spring, I was out there painting, and I hear this knuck, knuck, these knocking sounds. I said, what is it? And it turns out there's these turtles that live there, and when it's mating season, so the male turtle goes to the female turtle, and he starts knocking her with his shell, trying to make her turn over so he can get on top of her and do the thing. So that's when you hear that that time you hear these little banging sounds. You know what that is? It's the turtles going at it.
so
So
our audience should, while we're looking through these, could you just mention and just say the name of, I believe you have a website where people can actually purchase some of these paintings, maybe not the ones we're looking at, but the ones that you have left that are for sale. Could you, is that still going on? Can you say anything about that? Where if any listeners are interested in these pieces? I
yeah,
know I
the
saw it
website,
says you can mail to the US and other places.
it's become quite a task to export paintings, go through all the bureaucracy and all that stuff. But I
Ah,
do have I do have the website, and if somebody really really wants to purchase something, then we can start dealing with it. But the website, should I give it out now?
yeah,
It's
sure.
it's Ron Gang, one word, RONGANG .net. And if that doesn't work, there's another address which should work, which is Negev Art, one word, which is NEGEVART .kesug, which is KESUG.com. But I think maybe you can put in the show notes, or you have some kind of
Oh,
place where you
yes,
can.
it'll be in our description, but for the people who are listening on Spotify, they might want to jot it down. And
Okay,
it's just also a wonderful gallery of all of the, not of all the painting you've done, but of many of the paintings you've done. It was very
probably
beautiful
most
to
of them.
go through.
Thank you. Yeah, there are hundreds and hundreds. There's more paintings than you can shake a stick at, unless you want to shake a stick at them.
That's a painter.
What's next? Okay, that's another from down there. This is a what do you call it? Uh, uh, cypress tree,
Mm,
and what was left of it, and there's nothing left of it. But it's a difficult environment, so you can see it was kind of stunted. But there's another after the rains. Everything's nice and green and lush. There's another cypress tree.
Beautiful.
It didn't survive. It was nice while it was. But that's a story for all of us. We're just on borrowed time.
Right?
What can you do? We have an illusion that we're going to last forever, but this is one panel of one of the panoramas I painted outside. I think there was seven canvases this side, which all go together. It seems to me that's part of it. Anyways, that's also, you can see after some rains, but you can see the side of this ravine, how dry it is, and then where the below where the rains have drained, so it's lush there.
Lovely.
Here we go, another little what do you call them? Arroyo? Little gullies?
I don't know.
Okay, some people will know. Anyways, I did a few right in the spot. I like the way the trees and the walls of the gully sort of, I call them cathedral. Sort of reminded me like being a cathedral, a natural cathedral. Ah,
Oh, I love this. These are beautiful.
this is spring explosion,
Yes.
and that's after the rains. And I think from that same gully you saw before, but looking off to the side, and just how everything, all these little plants, all this little vegetation is growing up, and these scanty trees. It just, yeah, whatever. What's going to? Why am
It's
I talking so much? A painting is worth 1,000 words, so I should
oh,
shut
it's
up.
well, I love this painting. It's just bursting with life.
Thanks.
Mm.
And what's next? Okay. Now, this is yours truly in 1984. So that's what we're saying 43 years ago. Is it that long?
I,
But after working from the course from Betty Edwards' book, Drawing on the Right Side of the Brain, was the first time I did a self portrait of myself looking in the mirror that came out looking recognizable.
and that was from what you learned from her about looking differently with the
Well,
other
yeah,
side of the
looking
brain.
from actually from looking and not thinking that you're looking.
Right. I wonder if you're looking with your third eye.
Hmm, I don't know.
Well, those are hard to do, faces and self-portraits. It's a very nice portrait. I see you had a lot of hair then.
Yeah, where did it all go?
I don't know, wet with mine too.
Did I just? Yeah, excuse me. So I this is on this canvas. I did a self-portrait, but with 20 years in between from the one on the right to the one on the left. And I got this idea when I went to a retrospective exhibition of a certain artist. What was his name? Streifman. He was a very well-known Israeli artist back in the day, and they did a retrospective show of his work. And he had a canvas where he did two portraits of himself with quite a period of time in between. So I said, "Oh," so I afterwards I put down the one on the right side and let that canvas hang around for 20 years until I finally put the one on the left.
And I guess if you attach the one we just saw on, you'd have You'd have you in three different times in life.
Three dimensions.
Right.
Be truly multi-dimensional, but
Hmm.
I'm being silly. Okay. But silly is good. Uh, Alan Watts said, laughter is the dissolution of anxiety into joy. The conversion of anxiety to joy is laughter. And I
I,
think in your case, you laugh so much, your beautiful laughing always gets me going, as many others.
and I do think that's true. I've laughed away a lot of anxiety.
It's true. Humor is the last line of defense. Okay. And here
Are
are a
those
couple.
cypress trees or what kind of trees are
Yes,
those? Those are
these are
cypress.
these are cypress trees, and they're out in the wheat field. And it's also this time of year when it's very hot. I think you can really feel the heat in this. Vincent van Gogh, Van Gogh, if you pronounce it the Dutch would, he painted a lot of cypress trees, and
Hmm.
the cypress tree has got a lot of meaning for him as it points upwards, uh, being maybe showing a certain metaphysical direction. But we'll leave it at that. Better for me to deal with the painting and not talking about it too much, which I can't help anyways.
I don't remember what woods it was, but I remember talking to somebody about in the old days when a chuppah for a wedding ceremony was created, that it had a very important significance which trees were used to make the four sides, the four posts of the chuppah. Was that cypress trees, or do you know anything about that?
I don't know. You probably are more knowledgeable about that than myself. In the kibbutz, when there was a wedding ceremony and the wedding canopy, the chuppah, was held up by pitchforks to
Pitchforks.
yeah, we used pitchforks to demonstrate the agricultural nature of our community.
Oh, wow. And like in this arid, dry, where you're bringing in water, what were you able to farm besides wheat?
Okay, we farmed a lot of stuff, and we still do. So
Wow.
another thing you can grow just on the rain is watermelons, by the way. And now
Is what can you grow?
watermelons.
Watermelons without rain.
Well, they're there. There's a certain amount of rain, but the watermelon knows how to utilize what's ever in the ground. It's a very efficient plant. But we grow lots of potatoes, two crops
Mhm.
of potatoes a year, uh, winter and summer potatoes, and we grow. We've had here we didn't grow cotton here so much. In other places we grew cotton. Uh, Artichokes, orchards. So we had back in the day
Mm.
we had actually apples and pears and peaches, delicious peaches. But this land wasn't so good for it wasn't really so good for deciduous fruit. I think you call it. Uh, you grow uh, some kind of fruit. I remember what you said you were growing.
We grow apples. I have pears, apples. I have a lot of fruit, but most of what I have is all apples. I have hundreds of apple trees. Uh,
Wow.
but now that the climate's been changing, and if you have rain when we used to have warmer days, I don't seem to grow plums anymore because it seems like when the blossoms come, then all of a sudden we have a cold spell and they don't get pollinated and something happens and we have not had many plums, but my citrus now is taking off. So I'm getting a lot of tangerines and lemons, and I wasn't getting as big a crop of those before when I was getting a lot of plums. So I'm not sure. I don't, I'm from New York City, but I've tried to learn a little bit about farming and growing food over the years of living here in an orchard. Uh, but agriculture, it changes with the season and with what's going on, or if there's a blight and things that happen. In the kibbutz, did you then, those were two sources of income, was food for uh, the hundreds of people that lived in the kibbutz, but was that also then taken to market and sold, and that was a
Right.
source of income?
The crops were on an industrial scale in terms of
Ah,
the so like the potatoes and sugar beets. What did we have? Carrots. We still have carrots every year. Um, by the way, my sister told me that carrots are great as doggy treats. You cut up some carrots and give them to dogs. Did you know that? I didn't know that. I'm going to give it a
I
try.
just learned that recently also, and I didn't even know about certain vegetables that you could give dogs. I was surprised as well, and they like it.
So,
Some dogs will take it, depends on your dog. Okay, so we'll go back here. We're back here with our cypress trees, and
and we grew citrus. Yeah, we got grew lemons and grapefruits and oranges and avocados. We still got avocados growing. I
oh,
had, but now it's the end of the year, the season, and whatever I was able to glean off the trees, the Hass avocados are. The worms started to grow inside. So it freaked out my wife when I opened up an avocado. We see these little white things climb inside. But
we're thinking about that. We just saw avocado trees in our local nursery, and I've never seen avocado trees there before because we're in Northern California. But they're coming up with a certain variety that I think is supposed to survive up here. So we're thinking of buying one and just trying it and seeing if it'll work.
yeah, it should work in northern Israel. There's lots of avocados. In fact, they got uh, better yield than here.
Hmm.
Here it was difficult. We're not growing avocados anymore for commercial purposes. We have maybe a few, maybe I don't know, a few acres of
Mhm.
avocado left, and that's just for the members who want to go out and pick for their own use. There's just some cypress trees that windbreak at
Hmm.
the edge of the field, which I kind of thought was nice. And there's the same cypress trees again in a different. And I think, oh, we saw this one before. Okay, we're getting
Yeah.
near the end. This painting is the fields here, looking in the direction of the city of Beersheba. And I did this painting by using a zoom lens and photographing it, and then using my photograph to to paint from. And there was yeah, I guess a competition for the Israeli parliament put a call for artists to submit paintings. So I submitted a few, and I was very fortunate this one was chosen. And this one now hangs in Jerusalem in the Israeli parliament building, someplace, some corner
That's
in there.
wonderful.
And even it brought in a little bit of money. I didn't give. I could have given a higher price, but I too modest, I guess, because that's the thing, like modesty. I'm really modest, Gail. I don't know anybody more modest than I am. Okay. Pardon me on that. I couldn't. That's an old joke. I couldn't resist it. So that's that. And now this is in the center of the kibbutz. And there are these, unfortunately, most of these were cut down now, but we had these palm trees
Were
and
these
lots of
coconut palms or date palms
date
or
palms.
date palms? I have a date palm out front of my house here at the front of my door, and it's an ever-growing date palm. And since I've lived here for this 48 years, when I first moved here, like these things would fall from the ground that sort of looked like a date seed. But now, 48 years later, the tree is so tall and it's dropping down hundreds and hundreds of what would look almost like a deglenor date, that dryer date.
Ah,
And
yeah.
yes, and it has some flesh on it and the skin, but not enough for you to bite in to eat it. I don't know, maybe in another 50 years it'll be fully whatever, but it attracts all these rodents and foxes because when they fall to the ground, and now there's hundreds and hundreds where before we used to have a few. So now if you don't sweep them all away, you're going to attract all of this vermin to come and eat them all.
I, if you would water them, would you get juicier, bigger dates?
I don't know if well, we have such a low to the ground water table that it's gets plenty of water, I'm sure, the way that it is.
Ah,
I
okay.
think it had to do with, seems to me like maybe it had to do with heat, that as we started getting hotter summers, maybe it was producing more dates. I'm not sure. I don't know if what would make that happen, but each year the date becomes a little bit more, like more flesh on it each time.
I think a lot of these date palms originally the seeds came from Iraq,
Oh, it's an
and
ever growing. It doesn't stop growing.
yeah, that's right.
Yes.
That's and the
So,
fruit is generally at the end of the summer that they start. That's when the fruit falls off the tree, right?
yes, and there's lots. Uh, so are they harvesting dates then in there, or
Opa,
is that,
okay. I still getting ahead of myself.
oh,
Uh, but we here they were not grown commercially. They
mhm,
just it's a what do you say landscaping tree.
right.
In a
Do
lot
they
of
grow
places,
the, do you grow the medjool date there? That really sweet, the medjool?
Majhul, yeah,
Yes. Oh, I love those.
the same variety. That's what. In fact, I have some in the fridge right now, Majhul. Uh, and my favorite date is called Halawi.
Hmm.
And this the Halawi date is supposed to be best for reducing cholesterol. So I read once.
Oh,
I don't know if it's true or not, but you know, but
can't hurt to eat them.
my doctor is mad at me because I refuse to take statin drugs to reduce my cholesterol with that stuff.
Well, I refuse to as well. So your doctor could be mad at both of us now.
Okay, I'll have him direct. I won't have any anger directed your way. You don't need to deal. It's such a thing having to deal with heavy vibrations, and who needs it? There's enough of that around, and
Right.
somehow. Okay, we're getting
Hey.
near the end of the show, I think. Opa, I just skipped it here. Here, okay, this is another one from the area here. This is a tamarisk tree, which is a kind of indigenous tree to the region here. It doesn't
Mhm.
it, it, it's doesn't really have leaves. It's got like needles, like pine needles. The tamarisk tree, and this is on the side of a road, and it's forming an arch, as it were. And you see far away on the horizon the city of Nitivot. So let it be as it may. And there we go. This is I was taken by the sky. The winter skies here around sunset are just amazing. I'm sure you have amazing skies as well.
Mm.
Any place really where you've got a clear view of the sky is amazing. There's a drama going on, and I love painting clouds. I don't know if I've got any here in the slideshow or not, but the last number of years I've been painting a lot of clouds. Clouds are just amazing. I think they have a life of their own, and there's some sort of viewing some kind of spirit world through the shapes they manifest, or at least that's where my imagination takes me.
Yes.
Okay. Every year, the cranes come to visit. They come down from, I think they come down from Europe, winter over here, and go back when Europe starts warming up. So there's a few, three, some of them. So clouds. I was talking about clouds. There you go.
Hmm.
and another one. Like I say, you can let your
Oh wow,
imagination.
yeah, you can say my imagination sees a lot with this. Feel like it's a dancing person in the sky.
It's what a show the sky puts on for us.
Last night, I just went out on my balcony at the exact right moment, and I called David and I said, "Do you want to look at the Big Dipper with me?" And we're looking at the Big Dipper, and we got to see. I only saw two, but he got to see three beautiful shooting stars came across the sky. And
Wow.
if we didn't step out at that exact moment, we would have missed the shooting star. And I always feel like it's a very special blessing moment to be able to see that because it's so fast and so quick, and you've got to be there at the right, all of a sudden moment, look up.
There are meteor showers a few times a year. There's the Perseids and the Geminids. I don't know which one is which and what time of year, but uh, they generally announce it, in the newspaper or something. You can go
Hmm.
out and to a place where there's no lighting around and just lie on the ground and watch them shooting across the sky.
Yes, beautiful.
Up, yeah, this thing has been
Oh,
there. We were talking about clouds. Indeed, I remembered I did put some in these in this slideshow. This is right at dusk as the sun
mhm.
sets and lights up all of this. And there was an amazing sunset. I snapped lots and lots of pictures of it, and then I chose a few images, and I took this one. I worked on this one for about a month, but there you go. It's a lot going on.
Hmm.
There's a guy, a beautiful painter in Canada by the name of Phil Chadwick, and he's got a lot of great clouds. He was a meteorologist. He's retired. He called himself Phil the Forecaster, and he's got great cloud pictures. So there's a plug for a fellow artist.
I'm looking forward to sending this to Toby Zunhauser and my friend Andrew Annenberg, two very fine artists. It's nice sharing each other's work with people that may never have met each other. So I'm going to share
I,
your work with them.
I was looking at your interview again today with Toby, and
Yes,
a great respect for Toby.
we're going to see her October. Uh, so I've got to, I've been able to sit in her living room surrounded by all those beautiful pieces of art, but I didn't know anything about each one until we had the show together and I learned all about her paintings. I have such admiration for artists and musicians because it's not something that I have an easy time or affinity with, I'm tone deaf and
You've
and
got
I
your
draw
own
stick
very
figures,
special talent.
but I have different, yeah, different things. But I'm just in awe that somebody can sit down and do this. So what are we looking at here? What are these white stones we're looking at, or white?
Okay, well, so for reasons of health, every day I take a constitutional walk of about 3/4 of an hour, and now in the summertime when it becomes excruciatingly hot, the best time to go for a walk is just around sunrise.
Mm,
Well, it's still, you know, rather cool, but now even this morning it was about 23 degrees, about 70 degrees, so it's warming up. But anyways, this is right near the cemetery of the kibbutz. And so these are these stones just marking the pathway going into the cemetery. And I just love the lighting of the sky, the gradations of color. And I've
mhm.
been entranced by this for years and years and years. What a joy it is to see. And they tell me that in the spiritual realms, the colors here are like nothing compared to there. But well, when we get there, we'll find out.
So, this is a cemetery then?
But the cemetery is just behind the group of trees on the left, which is the trees surrounding the cemetery. And this is a
Mm-hmm.
pathway going up to the cemetery. And they planted some cypresses.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I think on the horizon there's some distant trees. Now, the next one brings us right inside of the cemetery.
Oh, yes.
So, you know, this is the style in Israel that the tombstones are not standing up, but there's the slabs and then there's a headstone, which is lying there. And this is in the kibbutz. And I know just about everybody who's here, who's buried here.
Oh, wow.
And I
So no
over the years,
cremation, no cremation. Everybody's being buried in a casket 6 feet down, and then these stones are put on top, these slabs.
yeah, the ultra orthodox or the real religious people don't use a casket; they use a shroud.
Mm-hmm.
But here, there's a casket or built, a very simple plywood casket built in our carpentry shop here, and generally some people from the kibbutz do the ceremony. Sometimes they bring in from outside a rabbi. By the way, I should let you know that not everybody in the cemetery is Jewish or in the kibbutz. We had a lot of people who came and joined us from overseas as well. So,
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought you had to be. I had thought you had to be of the Jewish faith. I didn't know that.
no, not in our kibbutz.
Oh,
So I've got people from Switzerland and Holland and Germany and Canada. My dear friend Craig and his blessed memory and his wife Betsy. Betsy's uh, Betsy's ancestors came over to the States on the Mayflower, so that they really moved around. So indeed, you know, uh, the kibbutz was not like strictly religious or anything like that. Religion is a personal matter. Um, I remember there was an interest in the early 70s, the mid 70s. There was an interest in transcendental meditation, which I had learned way back when, and I thought this would be a great thing for the kibbutz. And a few people learned it, and we brought in a teacher to teach people in the kibbutz meditation. And the atmosphere for that week when people were learning to meditate was fantastic. Sadly, people, you meditation, you got to stick with it. You got to practice it day in and day out. If you stop meditating or you skip one, you skip two, then you sort of fall out and you don't. But so most people stop meditating, but when they were, it was great. And I thought this is like a community. I went to some community up north, which is a meditators kibbutz, where that was one of the things that people had to be transcendental meditators there. I spent a week there. It was an interesting place, but I felt it was a little bit too cultish for me. Like I said to you earlier, I'm kind of an ornery type of guy, and I don't want people telling me what I should believe or follow anybody. So,
I came from your same tribe.
right, we're from the Schmohawks, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I
So
wanted
I
you to
think
talk something about the interesting orbs or circular things in this painting. I feel like are they of a spiritual nature or
uh, now this is something that if I give you the real mundane thing from where I think they came from, because I in the last number of years when I stopped venturing out with everything on my back to paint in the field, so I started just photographing, and then from my photographs. So in this particular scene, there are these artifacts with because you're when you point your camera at the sun, sometimes you get these little things showing up. So somebody of a very scientific nature will say, well, it's just these artifacts. caused by the light in the lens and the optics and all that stuff. But us being of a sort of a spiritual woo-woo bent, so maybe it's orbs manifesting themselves as these
I
as
don't know. It
these.
looks like the tunnel, how people who've had near death or have come back to talk about how they returned, but they were faced in front of a tunnel of light. And the end of your green circle orbish looking things looks like the spirit going more toward the light. But that's what a painting is for us to interpret what we see in it. Each person sees something different.
Yeah, that was in the back of my mind as I was doing this, going towards the light, and you see like all the tombstones, all the looking as though looking at the light. And I was thinking I had an operation years ago, and in the morning when the operations were done in the hospital, so they start rolling everybody out into the operating room. And I was, you can't go in there with your glasses on, so everything was kind of dark and blurry. But everybody's wishing each other a successful operation, and I felt this is like, you know, before going on to the great unknown. You never know. So this also brought up associations of that.
Yes. Well, thank you for sharing this. I would have no idea. So in other cemeteries in Israel, is this the way the tombstones would look, or is this just specific to your group in your kibbutz?
Well, these are, standard, not ornate. Some cemeteries, people put in a lot of money. They want a big ornate tombstone, a big
Oh.
monument, and that. Uh, but here, no. I guess we're simple people, and I think whatever is provided, they're all pretty much uniform. All these tombstones here.
Hmm. So we're coming toward the end. Is this our last slide? No. Okay.
Okay, this one is the last slide, actually.
Okay.
There's a story behind this one. There, you don't get a slide without a story. Sorry.
I have to
So,
say, every time I look in your paintings, I see different images. I know it's a tree, but it turns into a horse. Or I saw another one where I thought I saw a skeleton face in it. Might have been leaves, but it's your paintings remind me about when, like, I look in clouds and you see, and you look into a cloud and you see some other vision in the cloud that you look up and say, "Oh, wow, your paintings do that to me."
yeah, this is not photorealism for sure. Uh, but I think also like I look at the paintings of Cézanne, great French impressionist painter, and one of the founders of modern art. And I look at his paintings, and I can also let my imagination do all kinds of stuff with what I see.
Hmm.
So the story behind this one here. So going on 3 years ago, our sadly to say, and I didn't want to bring this up, but it's part of life. Our region was attacked on the 7th of October, and our kibbutz was fortunate that we survived it quite well, but not others. And I lost a few dear friends, artists, musicians,
Mm.
so on, in that attack.
I'm
And we were
sorry.
told a few days after the attack that it was best to to evacuate. So we went up to Tel Aviv. My wife and son and his fiance. We went up to Tel Aviv and stayed out for over a month at her parents' place. And then, things it would seem that things had cooled down enough. It was good to come back home. It was weird coming back into the kibbutz. And I got to tell you, Gail, we were really shaken up by this what happened on the 7th of October. I mean, this is, people go through experiences like this in all kinds of places. It's part of the unfortunate human condition where people can't live peacefully and feel great animosity and attack each other. And I'm really sorry for that. and I wish there was none of that. But maybe we're here to live through that as contrast to learn how to become better people. Having said all of that, so we came back to the kibbutz, and I was going for my constitutional walk in the evening, feeling pretty bummed out. Uh, the kibbutz was full of army because the army had set up here as well. They were doing their operations elsewhere, and a lot of soldiers were billeted here, and it just wasn't the same. Most of the members were not here. They still had evacuated different places. We were amongst the first to come back. Uh, Anyways, I'm with this very heavy feeling in my heart and in my head, and I'm walking around and for doing my constitutional walk, and I come to a clearing and I look in the sky and I see something like this. This painting doesn't come close to what I saw and what I felt. The the depth in the sky and the colors. It was like looking down to maybe a coral reef, or seeing what a depth, what's going on there, what an amazing world. And I just, wow, this amazing heavenly world is right with us. It's right above us. It's here all the time. And you just have to look and see it and feel it. And in spite of everything which is going on down here, it's always there. Sort of like in the biblical story of Noah's Ark and the rainbow at the end of the flood. And the power which is the universe sent a rainbow as a promise to Noah. Anyways, this is the story behind this particular painting. And I got kind of carried away and choked up while telling you it, but it has to be
Well,
said.
I'm glad that you said that. It brought tears to my eyes, and I'm sorry that you lost friends, and I'm sorry that we live in a world that hasn't figured out how to live peacefully and understand that we are all one and everyone is the same.
Yeah.
Uh, so I'm glad you got to express yourself, and that's the beauty of art, is to be able to express yourself and your feelings, and you're showing the beauty in a place where not far from you lost friends and were attacked. So thank you for upholding beauty and sharing beauty. And this is the point in the show where we like to ask, or I like to ask, whether there's any words of wisdom that you want to share, though I feel you just did share some, but if there's any other words of wisdom, and also if you could just speak a few minutes about the fact that at the end of the show, uh, we are going to have a few-minute panoramic video that hopefully will download correctly and be there for everyone to see. And I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about that, and also if you have any last words of wisdom you'd like to share.
Okay, well, I'll bring back, how do if I close this, I'll bring back the camera. Let's see.
Okay.
Yeah, there we are. And then I see you
Oh,
too.
I see you too now.
And I want to say, you're just as beautiful of any of my paintings, and
Oh,
probably much more.
thank you. Appreciate that.
Well, my joy, my joy. So, well, thank you all for bearing with all of this. And I have to admit that I'm not always too articulate, and I start stumbling over words, but I think we got most of it across.
I think it was a beautiful job.
Okay. And words of wisdom, I think whatever I had to say was already said. And I think that the paintings probably say it more, like you read in the bio, that the painting is a nonverbal form of communication, and it speaks from the soul to the soul, just like music. So words can lie,
Mhm.
but a real painting, for what it is, just like children do not lie. They haven't learned yet. Words lie. Words are very dangerous, and words can convince of all kinds of terrible things. So what I try to do with these paintings, what I want to do anyways, is to bring goodness across. with all the difficulties in the world, that maybe I can bring out. Like I don't know, like I think Toby brought across amazing spiritual truths, and I don't think I've had any great visions or stuff like that that I'm aware of. Maybe we have all kinds of stuff going on inside in our soul, but we're not aware of it. Just like we go to sleep every night, and who knows where we go when we're sleeping,
Mhm.
and we don't remember it all, but we come back. But the same thing. So whatever, like when I'm painting something, I try to do it just like what I'm seeing is what I'm painting. And then your own feeling comes across in your painting. It's like uh, uh, people who read handwriting. What's it called? The art of reading people's handwriting and analyzing their character. Graphology,
Palmistry, palmistry, or
graphology, I think. People handwriting analysis.
oh yes, yes.
Right. So I think the same way you write uh, 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 your hand, just the movement of your hand. There's so many things coming across. The brain, which creates words, is only a small portion of who we really are. There is much more, the heart and the motor, like Gurdjieff, G.I. Gurdjieff, everybody knows. He wrote of three centers, three called human beings, three-brained beings. And he said a human being is worthy of being a human being when he can coordinate all three and they live together in peace. You know these parables about a fox, a cabbage, and a sheep, and a guy has to bring them across on a rowboat or something to one side of the river. But if you leave two alone, one will eat the other. How do you get them all to the other side without them eating each other? So that's the whole trick with our different parts of ourselves. So the part
Hmm.
which is talking now is just a yak guy, But there's the guy who's making those paintings, which does something to you, and this guy who's talking right now doesn't know what it is, you know. So, anyways, words of wisdom, just love. So we should be kind to each other and
Hmm.
take just ground out all the negative vibrations and do what we are here to do. So that's my sermon on the mount.
Wonderful. And now, uh, I'm gonna I'm gonna say that if you could just speak about the attachment video we're going to add to the end of the show for people to see a panoramic, if you could explain what they're going to be seeing, because
Right.
I'm going to put this on at the end, so we're telling them ahead of time, and then I'll just do a quick sign off after you tell them what they're going to be seeing.
Okay. So uh, I would go outside, go out to the ravine and different places. And I started, well, I'll cut it short. I've been talking so long already. But I started doing paintings which were not just one canvas, but were a number put together. The biggest one I did was 10 canvases side by side. The one that I talked about earlier that took me like 2 months to do, and it's like 30 feet long, the whole thing put together. So I did a number of these. That was the biggest one. But in short, I did quite a few of these. And 3 years ago, the lady in Kibbutz Magin, which is not too far from here, asked me to do an exhibit in her gallery. I'd done some before. So what am I going to do? And I had an idea. I'll bring these panoramas over there, and I'll do an installation, and I'll do the four walls of the gallery, each one a different panorama, all joined together. So you walk in the gallery, you're inside the ravine or the environs of the ravine. And this thing worked so well, I must say. So what you'll see in this video was a dear friend from that kibbutz Magin. He took this on a cell phone, but it's not too bad. And he uh, so he did a whole sweep of it. I think it's about a minute and a half. If you can slow it down, so it doesn't just go by, but that's the whole thing. At the end of the of the sweep, you see sitting there yours truly, my dear wife Esty, and Mariana Schleifer, who is the curator of the gallery over there where we're sitting. So that's uh, that's the video there.
יש לי כלה שגם כן הופיעה בידיעות הנגב יחד איתך. הכלה שלי מנהלת באזור בחינוך בבאר שבע, אז כתבו עליה ובדיוק באותו עיתון גם עליה. נו בסדר, לא, פשוט שלחת לי וגם היא שלחה לי.
והכל מהידיים האלה.
Well, thank you. I want to thank you for joining us today and sharing all your art. And all you listeners, after we just say goodbye, just hang in there and watch this 1.5 minute video. And I love that you can be in a kibbutz in Israel and I can be in Sebastopol, California, and we can share things about our life. And I want to let our listeners know that Ron has been just the most wonderful fan of the show and has watched so many of our episodes. And I just, after he saw one of the art shows we had, I said, could you come on and share your art with us? And very modestly, he said, oh, I don't know. And I'm so glad that you changed your mind and that you were really happy to be with us here today. So thank you, Ron. It's a pleasure spending this time with you. And I want to thank all our listeners for liking, subscribing, sharing. And I want to thank my son for producing the show. And I want to thank my daughter for posting us on all the social media sites. And thanks to my husband, David, for helping out with writing the descriptions for each show. Remember,
Thank you all.
everyone, remember, share your stories because stories can heal. And thank you, Ron, so much for being with us.
And thank you, Gail, for twisting my arm to make me come on here.
This was
Oh,
very, very fun. So just want to say to everyone, have a wonderful, wonderful week ahead. Bye.
bye.